here from Women with Voices, the platform that is dedicated to getting women's voices out there and having them increase their influence. We do that by providing them with kick-ass communication skills and helping them to kick stereotypes to the curb. So helping me to empower you, I've got the wonderful Carol May with me. She's from an organisation called All Shapes and Sizes. Carol, have I got that right?
Yes.
I have. Fantastic. It's Carol May. And she's saying, guys, and I love this, we've got to ditch the dieting. I know you're thinking, no, we live to diet. Carol is just fantastic. She's going to get us back in control of ourselves and this whole dieting lot, which is just absolute nonsense. Just quickly go over it. She says she's a functional nutritionist. Her bio is fantastic. Functional nutritionist, eating disorder therapist, body image advocate, and a sugar-free baker.
Yay.
And she wants us to find peace with our bodies from the inside out. Carol, hello, my luscious. Yes. How are you?
Hello. I'm very good today, apart from a bit of a cold and a bit of a croaky throat. So excuse me if I cough.
Yeah.
Water and everything around. You know, my voice, I think probably today is probably what they would call deep and sexy.
Because they resonate more.
Absolutely. You feel the vibrations here in the chest, don't you know? But I do sing in the bass section in the choir, so my voice isn't that high normally.
Okay, fantastic. Well, let's get rocking. Cal, okay. I've given you a brief introduction, but can you better describe what you do?
Right. What I do is, well, my mission really is to inspire women to learn to love themselves as they are and this amazing body that they live in, whatever the shape or size that it is.
So the big question is, Carol, what brought you here? What's your own story?
My own story, very briefly, is that I started using food emotionally. The first memory I have of doing that is when I was 5. Mm-hmm. And I have this very, very distinct memory of staying with my sister's godparents, probably when my mother was at work, because unusually for women of her generation, she worked it felt like full-time when I was that age. Apparently it wasn't, but it felt like it. Mm-hmm. And she got to work full-time as I got older. And in London, so in holidays time, because we went back in the day, back then, almost 60 years ago, we were always in school by the time we were 4. So, you know, I school holidays, we went to this, you know, honorary aunt and uncles. And I can see it now, the dining room, breakfast, sun is shining. And she said to me, "Oh, I can see you like butter with your toast." Because I used to spread it really thickly, right to the very edge of the toast. And then when it had soaked in, I put a bit more on. Mm. Looking back, I realised it was a comfort thing. And when my father died when I was 40, I found in his wallet 2 letters that I'd written to him from that time, which said, "Dear Daddy, I don't like it here. You know, all the girls are teasing me. My sister's not being very nice to me. Blah, 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 blah. Come pick me up. You know, lots of love, Carol." And then there was a second letter written the second day, and it was in an envelope with the postage stamp on and everything. And I'd written the address for home at the age of 5. "Dear Daddy, you didn't come and pick me up like I asked you to yesterday." And I thought, oh my goodness. It tore at my heart. So by the time I was 10, I then found a letter in my father's things that I had written to my grandmother when I was 10, telling her that I was looking forward to seeing her, but I needed to lose weight before then.
Oh, wow. Age 10?
I was 10, you know. Now and that's how I got into, so by the age of 11, I was on diet pills from the doctor.
No way.
Oh, yes way.
Well, I've heard of this before. I was speaking to a family member recently, actually, who said that she remembers being really young and thinking that she was really, really big. Used to wear like loads of clothes to cover it up.
Yeah.
And she looks back at herself at that period and was like, well, I was normal.
Yes, exactly. Yes.
But then I'm going to play devil's advocate here, Carol. And you said when you first mentioned about spreading your toast really thickly, but spreading your butter really thickly on your toast, and you said that was comfort.
Yeah.
When you first said that, I didn't necessarily interpret it as that. I thought you just liked butter on your toast. And by having was it your aunt that you were living with? By having your aunt highlight it, she never said anything.
It could have been.
Yeah.
I mean, I haven't overanalyzed it, I have to be honest.
Yeah.
Because food and my body has ruled my life.
The core of your message is to stop us from dieting.
Yeah.
Now, I remember I was about 23, and it wasn't I was always, I counted myself quite small those days. I was much smaller, although I was tall like yourself. But I do remember always being conscious that you had to be conscious of food, sort of thing. And I remember thinking, because I don't like anything controlling me, and I remember buying a book saying, stop dieting.
Yeah.
I remember having the power and the control to be able to stop dieting. And what was weird in its own weird way, I actually was, maintained my weight for the longest period of time.
Yeah.
But whenever I've tried to do that in later life, to say, just cut it out, I cannot. It rules our lives. Why is it?
I think it's a complex situation, because what we have is we have generational stories coming down. So my mother was a dieter. My mother had low self-esteem. My mother didn't feel she was worthy. And she didn't feel her body was worthy. Then there is a school of thought that says we naturally take on all of that stuff. So that time when you think, oh my goodness, I sound like my mother. Yeah, we do. My mother had, so I can see now, I didn't see it then, but I saw now, my mother had all these issues around her own body, her own worth, her own disempowered beliefs about her ability to do things. And yet my mother was a professional woman. She worked at the BBC, and she always looked elegant. She always looked well dressed. When you look back at family photos, she was slim. So I don't actually need to know where those have come from, but all I know is that we absorb that thinking by osmosis.
By what, sorry?
Osmosis.
What's that?
It comes through our skin. It's almost automatically. Okay. We don't realise, particularly when we're little, that we're taking on all those beliefs and words of other people. But that's what we do. We take it all on. We soak it all up like a sponge until we're about 8. And then at roughly about the age of 8, we can start looking at things and going, I wonder if that's really true. But we can't do it before then. I would have heard my mother going, I can't eat that. It's fattening. Or I can't eat, I'm not eating that today because I'm on a diet. Or I'm not going to have gravy because that's fat. Where does that come from? And you absorb it all. My sister did the same. She absorbed it all too. And you get to that point where you are going down the same road without even thinking about it. It's an automatic process. So I kind of sort of mixed it all up, and I linked it with, and I created this image that actually I wasn't a worthwhile person because I was fat, and I wasn't fat, but and that in order to be a worthwhile person and in order to accomplish what I wanted to accomplish, I had to be thin. And so what we do is we then buy into the latest dieting fad, whatever that is. So I can remember doing the pineapple diet, the grapefruit diet, the egg diet. Then it was the low-fat diet, which is about the worst thing anybody can do. So, but what happened was people took this and thought, okay, low-fat diet it is then. And then Rosemary Connolly came on the scene. And because she'd used the low-fat diet because of her medical condition, nothing wrong with that, and because she'd lost weight as a result, that was then extrapolated that was the way to go. But there's actually no evidence for it. There'd been no research into it. So what we do is we buy into the latest thing. Partly because we want to belong. We want to be, if your best friend is doing something, you go, okay, I'll do it with you. Or if your best friend is going to Weight Watchers, you go, okay, I'll come with you.
And I'm going to touch on the belonging aspect from a different perspective, actually.
Okay.
But before that, so you mentioned a couple of other things I just want to pick up on.
Mm-hmm.
You said that you felt that in order to be successful, you had to be slim. Did at any point when you got to that slim stage, did you not realise then, well, actually you don't feel more successful as a result? Or did you then go on to find that something else was wrong? Or did you just keep focused on the body being the issue?
I just kept focusing. I think for me, it then become self-hate. In that my body was linked with how I felt about myself. And it's interesting because I've been through a lot of therapy and self-learning and all sorts of different bits and pieces. And one of the things I linked it back to was, I was a grammar school girl, but that meant I'd passed my 11 plus. That meant I wasn't stupid. But because in my family, I wasn't as successful as some of the others, I then thought, well, then I'm stupid. And then my maths teacher, and I was in the top set for maths. And so, it wasn't logical that I could feel like that, but I did. Also, it was nothing to do with my parents. Parents were good parents. And if they had ever known how I'd felt, they would be devastated. Because there was nothing that they deliberately did me down. If anything, it was the opposite. But back then, we didn't understand how the mind and body works in the same way.
And hitting on the issue of community and belonging, which is a really key point I wanted to pick up on, because I live my life quite diversely, and I do actually immerse myself in completely different communities. And each of those communities have their own badge of honor. They've got their own, labels which says that you belong, and their own bits that say they don't belong.
Yeah.
Now, certainly in my culture, in my community growing up, the focus was more about we come from my parents are from the Caribbean, and tasty food was incredibly important. So the focus for us was actually more, can you cook?
Yeah.
And it was less about how thin you are, as opposed to being, because that your self-esteem is attached to whatever your group deemed as valuable. And it was nothing to do, it was less so the focus that you had to be thin. You wanted to be healthy or slim, what have you, but the bigger focus was more about was certainly more about being a great cook. And food was very much central to family life and what have you. But I did realize that if the different communities I moved in, that then where size was incredibly important. I lived in Islington at one stage of the white middle class mummies, and you literally had to shed that weight as soon as you had your baby and all the rest of it. And your size very much determined your worth. Have you found this in your work, that it really is, or is that just my observation and it has nothing to do with much?
I think culture and community has a huge effect on it. And I think that certainly with my experience of clients that have come from a very different upbringing from my own, either for religious, with a different religious background, which has a different focus on food, or from a community like yours, which again has a different focus on food. And when they hit what I call the normal Western kind of culture, outside of that community, that's when they struggle.
Indeed. Because
they've got these two different messages coming. And for me, the problem is that the NHS is focused on you have to be a BMI of 25 or less.
Right.
And go to the doctor and the doctor goes, a bit overweight. Yeah, well, do you know what? In my culture, that's not. In my culture, I'm healthy. and actually our focus is on something else. So, because it isn't about what weight you are, it is about wonderful food, it is about sharing food, it is about community, but it is also about health. So it's not about you shouldn't eat this and you shouldn't eat that and you shouldn't eat the other. It's all about, okay, let's look at, what do you really like to eat? What do you really like to eat?
Okay, so on that note, let's move it forward into the solution. Okay, so you're saying it's about looking at what you really like to eat. If you ask me that, I think, well, I love cakes. I love things that aren't particularly healthy for you. I've adjusted my diet because I also want to be strong. My focus is on being strong.
Yes.
And a lot of the food stuff that we were using, certainly when I'm doing Caribbean cooking, there's some uncool stuff in some of the seasonings that they're selling out there and what have you. But moving forward, you're saying it's like focusing on what I like to eat. If I was to really let myself go and not worry about it, I like to eat, my lovely, is going to kill me.
That's the first stage. So the next stage is, why do you like to eat that? And then if you identify, well, I like that, but it's not healthy, or I like that and it's not doing me any good. Okay, so the next question is, so why are you eating it? And what we then go into is that place where we are eating things. Now, for instance, for me, I was eating sugar, dairy, and gluten because I've always have. And actually, my body didn't want it. And as soon as I took all three out of my diet, my body went, ah. Now, I'm not saying everybody has to do that. But what I learned from being in touch with me, who is me? What do I value? What do I want? How do I want to care for myself? And this isn't about eating what's good and what's bad. This is about caring for yourself so that your body feels the best it can be. So for me, taking sugar out and gluten was essential for me to create a body that felt healthier, that moved more easily. And interestingly, it started releasing weight. Okay, this is interesting. And what I discovered was I'd linked it with just a whole release of a lot of negative emotions, a lot of anger, a lot of self-hatred, a lot of listening to my inner critical voice that goes, what you're doing is just crappy, it's really shit, you're just so stupid, da 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 da. And we all know, if we are faced with a lot of negativity, it affects our energy. Start to go down. And just treating people so gently that they begin to start to treat themselves much more gently. Because what I see and what I've certainly experienced myself is that the harder we search and look, the more elusive it is.
What I wanted to ask you was that I go into the supermarkets and, for example, I was in Co-op not that long ago, and to my right-hand side, there was all the magazines, magazines going on about women's bodies, women's size, how big they are, small they are, skinny they are, boobs, job, bum, who's lost weight, who's put on weight. This is high level in the supermarket, going into our subconscious. Okay, because we're not realising this is going on. I mean, mostly we've got that bit about the parents, just touched a bit by the media, but you're up against a pretty huge conglomerate, aren't you, of people telling you otherwise, people telling you that you have to be slim.
Yes.
It's quite difficult to fight against, right?
It can be, and I think the more that you focus on how difficult it is, the more difficult it becomes.
I hear you.
We're actually confident in ourselves.
Yeah.
We've lost touch with our body, so we're not hearing the messages from our body, and and so we don't respond to it. So alongside of this is maybe I need to look at my food and my energy. Maybe I need to look at what I've subjected my body to in the past. So a lot of it is habit. You know, we buy into all of that stuff because it's habit. That helps us belong to our community.
Indeed. They'll shame you back in there again if you dare step out and do anything differently.
Yeah.
Carol, I'm going to have to stop us. So listen, if anybody wants to get involved in your wonderful services, getting them back in tune with their body, bringing out, getting them healthy again, and bringing that change from the inside out, actually having a health body from the inside out, how do they get in contact with you?
Right, the easiest thing is on Facebook. I have my own Facebook page, All Shapes and Sizes Solutions. So contact me on there. And on my Twitter account's actually still my name, but it's got the same banner heading and everything on it.
Right, so that's fabulous. And give us the company name again.
All Shapes and Sizes Solutions.
Love it.
Very cool. Like
says what it says. It says what it does on the tin, right?
Yeah.
Thank you so very much. And
it's been lovely talking to you.
We're going forever, can't we? We'll have to have you on again. I'm probably going to have you. Are you near to London?
Yes. Yes, I'm in Hertfordshire.
Oh, fantastic. So when I do one of my events, it'd be great to have you on board, where we're out there empowering women and getting them to define their and get in charge of their lives. So, Carol, thank you very much. Guys, don't forget to hear more about Carol and, keep in touch with events and what have you, and more videos like this. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button over there for more fabulous videos on getting your groove back, getting your power back, stepping back into your power, kicking stereotypes to the curb, and becoming a woman of influence. Thank you very much. Join us and see you on our next video. Bye-bye.